Hi guys, this is Naomi Smith and I really want to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Home Inspired. It's my desire that this channel would impart vision and grace to you in your journey toward home. I really hope you enjoy it. Hi guys. Okay, so we are on our last episode of the Fence Posts of God's Playground, and we are talking about coveting today. And so I want to read the scripture and then talk about it. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Okay, so with coveting, coveting is not necessarily a bad thing, actually. It's just a strong desire. And so actually in the New Testament, it talks about eagerly desiring, which is basically in essence coveting spiritual gifts. So there's good things to covet, there's good things to desire, and desire is not bad. And I want to say that very clearly. Desire is not bad. Religion wants to cut our desire off. Desire is not bad, but coveting in a negative sense is misplaced desire. And so it's very easy, especially in our culture, where the marketing is basically appealing to the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life. It's easy to become convinced that if we just had that one thing that we don't have, then everything would be great and our whole lives we would be satisfied. And so as you can see, even in how I was describing that there's this connection between idolatry and coveting in a negative sense. And so we come full circle with the 10 commandments, and we can become, as we hook onto this thing that we think we need or want so badly, we can become convinced that if I just had that fruit of that tree, then it would be great. And even we can be super spiritual about it and say, then I would fulfill my destiny or something like that. But no, the Father wants us to have eyes only for Him, and He wants us to have like dove's eyes that are locked onto Him, and He wants us to bring our desires to Him. And so there's tricks of the trade to keep us within this playground of God's playground. One would be gratitude. I keep coming back to this, but this is one. It's godliness plus contentment is great gain. And so as we begin to be grateful, it's a lot less about what we don't have, and it's a lot more about what we do have. And we start to realize, man, God, you've blessed my life so much. I am so rich. Like, what did I even want? I don't even remember. Like, what was that thing that I wanted? And we start to just enter into this place of acknowledging the goodness of the Father in our lives. And then there's promises that we are believing for, and that is real, and that is hard sometimes. I remember just praying for like 10 years for a husband and really, really longing for that. And watching all my friends get married and feeling so passed over. And I just remember, like, it brought up all the junk and all the unbelief and all the accusation against God. Like, God, do you hear me? Do you just want to use me for your purposes and you don't really care about my desires? Are you good? Am I your child? Like all these things. And so, there's a verse that I really hung on to. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. And really, I don't think it's God's desire to make our hearts sick. And yet, there's reasons. He has His reasons for deferring a promise fulfilled. And so, in those, if we can leverage that time with gratitude, and then here's my other one. Celebrating other people's victories. If we can leverage that time with gratitude and celebrating other people's victories, we become stronger in our conviction that God is a good daddy who loves to give His children good gifts. And so it reminded me of the story of the prodigal son when he comes back and his other son is saying, like, he's jealous, he's coveting the party that the father is having for the son that was gone. And the older son is just like saying like, hey, I've served you. And this is religion. I've served you. I've done all the things that I'm supposed to do. And look, you're partying it up for this guy who was a total loser and, a total heathen. And now he's come back and now you're partying it up. And basically the father points back to his goodness, really. And he says like, hey, he was dead and now he's alive and we are called to celebrate. And not only that, but everything that I have is yours already. And so you get your butt in there and celebrate. So that's hard sometimes because it can be the very thing that we have like longed for so much in our heart and we're watching someone else get it. But when you celebrate the goodness of God in someone else's life, it's literally like paving a way for you to see the goodness of God in your own life. And so he's a good father and he wants us to learn how to trust him. And when those promises are fulfilled, it is a tree of life. And that is real. Like when I look at my husband and he was a promise fulfilled, I remember God. I remember the goodness of God in my life. And that is powerful because what we don't want is for our desires to take us away from God. We want our desires to take us closer to God. So he really is amazing at setting it up so that when we have that desire fulfilled, it's a constant reminder of his love for us, of his faithfulness to us, of his goodness to us. And that's what we want. So with kids, teach your kids gratitude. When you start to hear the whining, no whining. Gratitude, like what are 3 things that you're grateful for? And teach your kids to celebrate the victories of others. That's the end of the series, and I hope that you have a great day.